It's a phrase we hear all the time. Out-of-touch corporate executives complaining about hiring struggles or trust fund kids whining that their gym is too busy in the middle of the day. Nobody wants to work anymore. I hate to admit it, but when you look at the data, they might actually have a point. Labor force participation has been declining for decades and remains low even after the pandemic. The numbers are even more concerning for men, whose workforce participation is at historic lows. Yet, unemployment rates remain relatively low, which should mean it's easy for people to find jobs, right? Well, not exactly. These numbers are misleading at best and downright confusing at worst. But let's break it down. Are people really just avoiding work? A survey found that only 18% of Americans actually feel engaged at their jobs. That means over 80% of people are just clocking in and out, miserable in the process. Meanwhile, businesses, especially in the service industry, are desperate for workers. So, why are jobs going unfilled? People generally fall into two camps when answering this question. The first group consists of wealthy executives, business owners, or older generations who believe the younger workforce is just lazy, more interested in scrolling social media and watching viral videos than working. The second group acknowledges that people don't want to work, but not because they're lazy. Instead, they don't want to work for low wages in jobs that don't provide a decent quality of life. The reality is, both groups are partially right. Let's break down the three main reasons why jobs are going unfilled. 1. Wages are too low for market conditions. Many jobs simply aren't offering competitive pay. A business trying to hire a senior software developer in Silicon Valley for $50,000 a year is going to struggle. The same applies to minimum wage jobs in high cost of living areas where even finance professionals are sharing apartments. But on the flip side, some workers enter the job market with unrealistic salary expectations. A recent survey found that many young workers believe they need a salary of nearly $600,000 a year to feel financially successful. That's completely unrealistic for the vast majority of careers. Even older generations have skewed expectations. Baby boomers believe financial success starts at around $100,000 a year, almost double the national median salary. The result? A massive disconnect between workers' salary expectations and what businesses are willing to pay. 2. Toxic work environments and unreasonable demands. Some jobs don't have trouble attracting workers initially, but suffer from high turnover. Why? Because of exploitative practices, low pay, long hours, and toxic management. A 2023 workplace study found that the average full-time employee in the U.S. works 9.2 hours of unpaid overtime every week. Many workers stay late not because they want to, but because they're afraid of losing their jobs. 3. The rise of ghost jobs. Ever applied for a job and never heard back? You're not alone. Many companies post fake job listings just to build a database of potential applicants without any intention of hiring. That means even if you want to work, your application may never even be considered. What this data really tells us about work in today's economy, it's not that people don't want to work, it's that they can't afford to. The phrase, "nobody wants to work anymore," ignores the bigger picture. Declining labor force participation among specific age groups and regions. 1. Young workers and older workers are driving the decline. If you exclude young people, just entering the workforce, and older workers nearing retirement, labor force participation is actually near all-time highs. So, what's happening? Older workers are retiring earlier. As people live longer and asset values increase, many over 55 workers are leaving the workforce, especially post-pandemic. Younger workers are staying in school longer. More students are pursuing college degrees, delaying their entry into the workforce. Meanwhile, Part-time jobs for students are becoming less attractive due to stagnant wages and rising education costs. Even college grads are struggling. A viral post from a Berkeley professor revealed that even top students from a top university are struggling to find jobs, especially in tech, an industry that was desperate for talent just a couple of years ago. As a result, many opt for graduate school. Rather than face the brutal job market, many young people are choosing to pursue master's degrees and PhDs, further delaying their workforce entry. Location matters a lot. The decline in labor force participation isn't spread evenly across the U.S. Some regions, like West Virginia, have the lowest workforce participation rates in the country, largely because their industries, coal mining, manufacturing, collapsed. People in these areas are left with two choices. One, move to an expensive city where there are jobs, but that comes with high costs and intense competition. Two, stay put and hope for better opportunities. But in many rural areas, those opportunities are few and far between. A study found that in West Virginia, workforce participation rates range from as low as 42% in some counties to as high as 77% in others. This massive gap shows that people in thriving areas can't afford not to work, while those in struggling regions can't afford to move. So, what's the reality of work today? Yes, there are some unrealistic job seekers and some greedy businesses that refuse to offer fair wages. But the bigger issue is that work itself has become less rewarding, both financially and emotionally. Labor force participation isn't declining because people are lazy. It's declining because wages haven't kept up with living costs. Toxic work cultures are pushing people away, and many available jobs aren't actually real. So next time you hear someone say, "Nobody wants to work anymore," ask them this: is it that nobody wants to work, or is it that people can't afford to work under the current conditions? If you want to know more about how money and markets shape our economy, make sure to subscribe to Money and Market. Thanks for watching.